The story that I have, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that Chicago comedy legend Bill Brady himself is the one who is responsible for the F word being banned from the Arthur House in Platteville.
That the what is banned? The F word.
The F word,
Oh,
the F bomb.
good.
We're not allowed to say the F bomb just because of you.
Glad to hear that. Because of fucking Bill Brady. That's right. No, what happened? We were out there a couple of years ago. Remember when they had the blizzard on Super Bowl Sunday? Yeah, we got caught there. But after the show, we're going up the hill, driving back to the hotel, and Brady's SUV starts rolling backwards.
Okay.
Yeah, not cool. On the icy road. Then the next day, it's snowed in, his vehicle, so I'm out there shoveling it out, and what, a week and a half later, Bill, you had a massive heart attack? Yeah, a week and a half later.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, good thing it didn't happen then, otherwise I would have had to get a ride home.
Right.
He would have died right then and there. He would have pain in the ass would have been.
You guys have been through it all.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have left you or nothing. You know, they would have found you in the spring when you thawed. Right, thawed out.
And that's how comics do each other.
Yeah, I bet when he was going down that hill backwards, when he was trying to go forward and on that ice, I bet he said the fuck word. Actually, we might want to bring that up.
Too.
Yeah, lead us into that, Jer. I think I was praying. Yeah, you were praying.
Well, you know, and that just goes to show in the right context, it works.
Yeah.
You can definitely say the F word at Boxcars in Clinton, Wisconsin. The Grassroots Comedy Tour kicks off. See, you guys are the first ones in there. So they're sold out all the way through April. And they totally allow the F word. I already made that a stipulation.
Yeah.
So don't go in there and fuck that up for the rest of us, Bill.
I love it.
Hey, Connie, what's up? Jeremy Cartwright is here. Good to see you guys. Emma's here. Who else is on right now? Matthew, Randy from the Boxcars is here. They will treat you right, guys. You're going to love it, man. Harry Hickstein and comedy legend Bill Brady joining me live right now via the phone. And I remember doing Barrel of Laughs a few times back when I lived in Chicago.
I didn't wipe that from my memory.
You know,
here. There's things I tend to try to forget. That's one of them.
Whenever I wanted to make $15 a show.
Yeah, there you go. you got wait a minute, he paid you 15. He only paid me 10.
Well, you were the MC.
Oh, there you go. And I use the F word.
Yeah, that's right.
He docked you every time you said the F word, $3.
But that's a historic club. That goes way back. When did that club originate, Bill?
1977. It was the third club in Chicago.
And so that was right as stand-up comedy was kicking into full tilt.
Yeah, Bill opened up on his 50th birthday. Well, actually, if the truth be known, it started out as a one-nighter, as so many places do. And I had a show at the Sinise's on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, a place called out in Riverdale, and another one out in Dalton, Illinois called Slips, and then a place called Groucho's on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And on Friday and Saturdays, I was at the Comedy Room or the Comedy Cottage. He was doing a Grassroots tour before you got in it, jer-dog.
Right.
Hell, before you were born. Probably. So that's how that, and then you got better and better. You know, one night went to two went to three, and the bands that they had there originally were just starting to die out. Okay, the bands were dying out, and they were doing a lot with DJs. So we said, hey, let's go full time, with the comedy club.
Yeah, and I think that same vibe is sort of happening now.
I think you're right. I'm starting to see that more and more. Absolutely. And then at one point in time, it was the only spot on the South Side, so we were doing 9 shows a week, 6 nights a week. Wow. I remember those days. Didn't you remember too, Bill, on the road? Sometimes we did shows on Monday. Yes. Yeah. There was occasional Monday. jer-dog, we're working 7 days a week, man. Sometimes 13, 14 shows a week.
Yes.
Phenomenal. It was great. Yeah. Those were the days.
And the talent was just phenomenal coming up to at that time as well. I remember going into Barrel of Laughs and seeing some real heavy hitters photos up there on the wall.
Oh yeah,
I like how you did the
absolutely.
5x7s of everybody on the stage at Barrel.
Yes, we're the only club that was unique in doing that. Rather than just all the 8x10s, we didn't have room for all the 8x10s like many of the clubs do. So I had a photographer there to take the 5x7s and put them on the wall. Absolutely, live on stage. And you talk about heavy hitters. I mean, my very first show, I had Paul Kelly, James Wesley Jackson, Barry Dye. We're on the. It was one other one. Diane. No, not that Diane. Emo. That was the other one. And a young lady who no longer does comedy. But that was the first show because all of us only had 15 minutes. So we had 5-6 people to do 2 hours.
Right. And something else that I thought is unique about, and what I really like about the way you ran Barrel of Laughs, Bill, is that it was like it was your show. You were the host of it, and the comedians were your guests. So it was very similar. It was a vibe of watching like a in-person late night talk show. Yes,
that's what we tried to make it be, that they were my guests. Hey, here they are, and I would introduce them that way. Hey, here's my first guest for tonight's show.
Yeah. And that's an element that's missing in comedy clubs these days. A lot of times these days you roll into the comedy club and the host of the night is really just the local amateur who has maybe 10 minutes of material, but he's the one guy that's willing to do it for free or cheap. But I feel like it's much better the way you do it. You need to get an actual seasoned pro headliner, aka pitchman, in there in order to be the actual MC, master of ceremonies, host, and make everybody there your guest, including the audience and the comedians alike. Would you agree?
Absolutely. What Harry and I have talked about this before is that here's the most important part, and I'm not saying that because I do it all the time, but the opening act of the show, an MC can make or break a show. Okay, he sets the tone. He's got to know how it flows. And I remember being on the road and someone turned around and said, "Hey, the MC's not here. Can you do it?" You hear stories where guys would say, "No, I don't MC," and stuff like that. So we used to have a class to teach people to be an MC at Synesis.
Yeah.
And but Harry and I have talked about it. That I think it's up in Canada, isn't it, Harry? We found out that they put the headliner opens up the show.
Absolutely.
The MC.
I work with, you probably all know Charlie Wiener.
For sure.
Yeah, and we did a phenomenal act. And we did a show for some Catholic organization in Michigan. And before the show, the guy running it told us, he said they want all of us. I was on the show with Dwayne Kennedy and and Charlie Wiener, which is a heck of a show. So he comes out and he asks Charlie, he says, "Hey, could you start the show?" And though Charlie was closing the show, he says, "Can you start the show?" Charlie said, "No problem." So Charlie went up there, probably did 10, 15 minutes, just rocked the room, and then brought myself up. But then he wanted everybody to do 55 minutes. Well, that means Charlie's getting up there, and he says, "You shouldn't have to get up there after 2 hours."
Right.
And do 55 minutes, but he just rocked it like he always does, man. It's just a pro, but I mean, it was so cool to have a pro up there just opening the show and setting the tone. It was just phenomenal. And that's what I've tried to do too with Toughies. You've been Toughies, haven't you, jer-dog?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I tried to bring back the 3-man show, a host and 2 acts, and it goes pretty well. I kind of like that, but still, the other way works too.
No, I really like it when the host is the actual MC, the handshake of the room, as opposed to just the guy that goes first.
Right. Yeah, he's the host. Right. You're dropping by his house. He's making everybody comfortable.
Yep.
And that's a different mindset. When you're the host, it's your show.
Right.
Okay? You treat it differently. You treat the performers differently. Unlike, like you say, a brand new talent or a fair middle that's thrown in that spot. And that's I think that was part of the problem where the decline of comedy is over the years, is that they had more rooms and not enough of bodies. And some of these bookers go, "Oh, you're a middle? Well, this week you're a headliner." And
right.
Show. So that didn't help the comedy business. It's like, wait a minute, why am I paying all this money and I get a guy that's only a middle that's doing a headlining spot?
But he's not doing headline time. He's doing 15, 20 minutes to close the show. He calls himself a headliner, which,
Right.
He's not only doing the time here, but he's not doing headliner material.
Absolutely. Right.
No, and I even feel that way if you've got a bunch of guys who maybe you've got like some of these shows that I see happening now where there are 10 or 12 guys, they each have 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops, and they're doing an entire 2-hour show based on that. And that's fine if that is 10 or 15 minutes of quality material. But if it's still just amateur quality material, it's really still just 2 hours of amateur quality
it's
material.
a glorified open mic is what it is.
Yeah, you know, so a glorified open mic, exactly. And I would rather have a guy get up there and do, you know, even 90 minutes if it was just going to be wham, bam, nonstop firing out of material and keep the audience laughing the entire time. I like to bring on killers. What do you think about these guys that might bring a feature act with them just so that they would look better?
Yeah, that happens.
Well, that I'm mixed emotions on it. I think bringing a feature act, you mean what, a two-man show instead of doing a one-man show?
No, like, so if they bring a feature act or if they bring an opening act or somebody that they know is kind of weak, just so that way they can get up there and be the hero.
Personally, I think that makes it harder for you. I mean, I'd rather follow a hot act because he always sets the tone, and you better be on your game. But nonetheless, I mean, the audience is there, and they're just waiting for more. Otherwise, some of these guys can get up there and, and just kind of drive it in the ground, and then you got to pick it up from the basement. That's tough sometimes.
Yep.
But I agree with you, jer-dog. Sometimes headliners do that so that they don't have to work as hard because they got a guy that did either a great job or they bring someone with them who is a little bit weaker so they look good. Yeah, it does happen that way.
Yeah, so they can.
But you talked about 12 guys doing a show or whatever. At the Barrel, we had our Thursday nights was dedicated to the new talent, but we didn't call it New Talent Night. I used to call it See the Stars of Tomorrow Today. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, well, that's what it was.
That's exactly what it was, and that's how things need to be promoted. They're the stars of tomorrow today. That's got a good ring to it. That's got a good hook, and with your endorsement, and then everybody knows what they're getting. It's just different when it's a whole bunch of guys going out there into an atmosphere where you're going to have to control the dynamics because it's a place that's not necessarily used to having comedy before, as opposed to a full-time functional comedy club that's sanctioned with a trained audience.
Right. Well, I think the problem is, Jared, a lot of these guys putting on these shows, they don't do what you do and I do and Bill does. When we start a show, because we all book rooms and things like that, when we start a show, we just don't start a show and throw guys in there. We go in there and do the first show and then put our friends that we know that you can do the shows after it, And so you train the audience to be a good audience, and you train them to what they expect, from a show. So you just got to produce and keep putting a good acts in it.
How long? See, Harry, we've worked together many times, and I've done in fact, I've got it coming up here in just a couple weeks, the Super Bowl in Peru.
Absolutely.
Illinois fans, friends, followers, spread the word. Jer-dog is coming to Peru, the Super Bowl. How long have they been doing shows there? That's a real cool place. It's bowling.
Like the oldest one-nighter in the country. They've been doing it, 28 years now, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. And the guys running it,
So that's a historic venue as well.
Yeah, Jim and Bob, I mean, it's incredible. They're good guys. They're real comedy fans. And the room is laid out. And sometimes, you're looking at 185 people sitting staring at you and then just rocking a room. And they're nice. They're a good comedy crowd. I mean, they've been doing it long enough. And it's funny. They're kids. The people that used to come 20 years ago, 25 years ago, their kids are coming now.
Yeah.
Physically, they have a nice stage there. I mean, the people are at your feet.
No, it's beautiful.
That's high of a stage.
Well, it's a 3-level. If you think about it, you got the mosh pit, and then you go up a few steps, and you got people sitting at the small tables, but then you got the high tables and the bar where they're sitting on tall. So it's actually a 3-level room, which is pretty incredible. The sound is incredible too.
Yeah.
And I know Jerry's going to rock the place like always.
Yeah, it's a beautiful establishment. It's got a good feel and a good energy to it as well. It's like you said, there's several layers there, so you get a huge crowd in there, but they're all up close in the way because it is stacked, where you've got the pit, but you don't necessarily have just the stage with rows going all the way back. Yeah, it keeps it intimate because
absolutely.
it's layered up there. Mm-hmm.
Well, Bill's room was like that too. I mean, well, sometimes they pack him in like sardines. Me being a big guy, I couldn't get to the stage sometimes. I'm sorry, I can't lose that much weight just before I go up. Like, come on, Bill, you got to move some of those chairs out of there,
But just to go back to the See the Stars of Tomorrow Tonight show,
Yeah.
we did differently there because, all these places, certainly out in L.A., New York, and in Chicago, the talent coming up had 5 minutes. Well, how much you really going to learn in 5 minutes, okay? So what I used to do is I would schedule everybody. They didn't have to take it, but I scheduled everybody at 15-minute increments. So you'd only have maybe 8, 10 guys total for the night.
Right.
You use 10 minutes of it, fine, you use 10 minutes of it. If you use 15, then you use 15. But you had a chance of doing that, and eventually they could work up, and I'd give them a half-hour spot to try their material again. So they would have a chance to learning, put it all together, knowing the segues, and so on and so forth, building up the joke, and so on and so forth. So we would do that, and on some nights, I'd turn the mic over to them and said, "You're the MC tonight." And they would do the show, so they learn how to do that. So
There you go.
We're pretty appreciative.
Absolutely. And so that's where you found the delicate balance between presentational and polished as well as experimental, and creating an atmosphere that's comfortable for people to take risks in.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think my favorite thing of that whole club and the show was probably the barbecue ribs they served.
That's very true, Harry.
I mean,
Jer-dog, he'd be headlining, and I'm up on stage hosting, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing, before I bring the headliner up, kill time while they go to the bathroom and push the drink.
Which a good MC does.
Coming up.
That's why you need an MC.
That's right. Well, the host. So so while I'm back there, I would order my food because I would eat it while Harry's up there or the headliner's up there because I got 45 minutes or an hour where I could eat. This SOB would eat half of my ribs when I came down. They were gone.
And your point?
My point is that they were
that free salad bar and soup and salad bar just didn't cut it for me.
Right.
That was what I was demoted to my first year in comedy. It was the early 90s, and I was first hired as the host and MC at the club in Des Moines, Noodles Comedy Club, in the back of the Spaghetti Works restaurant. And when I was first hired, I was paid $50 a show, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, $200 a week, 19 years old. I thought I was a fucking rock star. Went out and bought the leather pants, bragging to all my friends. And then that's the same time that the fucking bottom fell out of the comedy industry. And over the course of about 6 to 9 months, I was gradually demoted from $50 a show to free soda and salad bar.
Oh, man. And you stayed?
Well, yeah. I mean, I had to at that point. I'd already quit college. I'd already quit my jobs. I'm like, fuck it, man. I'm already doing what I wanted to do anyway.
Wow. Well paid off for you, though, man. I mean, you're a rock solid act, man. Every time I've used you in any of my clubs, you go in there just light the place on fire, man. I mean, it's incredible. So I mean, and that's something to be said about that, I mean, you hung in there, perseverance, and it's just, man, you crush it every time you go up there, which is cool. Like, I like watching your style. That I mean, I think we all have that style. We're there. I'm there for the audience. I'm there for them. It's they showed up. I owe them nothing but 100%. I don't care if 4 people show up or 4,000. I'm not going to give any less effort. You got to tone it down sometimes. You got to gear it down. I mean, you can't do the same show for 4 people that you do for 4,000 with that kind of energy.
Correct.
It's doable.
Yeah, it's a different style of performing, but you can give 100% within whatever that style may be, whatever the atmosphere calls for. Give 100%.
And it's never the audience's fault because, I once worked a show, and I'm not patting myself on the back. It might have been at the Barrel for working for Bill. One night, there was 4 people showed up. They said, "Oh, you want to do the show?" Whatever. And all the guys, "Oh, man, it's F this, I don't want to do this." And then they asked me, they said, "What about you?" And I was closing the show. I said, "Let's do it." They paid to see a show. They came out. These people, let's give them a show. I mean, you go to a play, if one person shows up, that curtain goes up, they do the play. In fact, even if the curtain doesn't go, nobody shows up, I think a lot of them still do the play just for practice.
Yeah, of course.
And so every guy went up there before me. There was, it must have been that Thursday when Bill was doing the night, the Stars of Tomorrow or night or whatever the hell it was. And
the Stars of Tomorrow
every guy
tonight.
went up there in the berating audience. If you people didn't show up today, I could have stayed home. And F this, man, this sucks and all that. They weren't getting any laughs. So I go up there first thing. I say, hey, how you guys doing? Hey, want to have some fun? I just gave it to them and just had a blast with them. I come down. And all the comics are shaking my head. Hey, man, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? Well, number one, I didn't berate these people. You ought to kiss their ass for showing up, so you got a freaking job.
Yeah, for sure.
People, they weren't driving out the damn street and go, oh, there's a comedy show, let's go in. They've probably talked about it with their friends. They've made plans, got babysitters, changed this around, maybe came home from work early, took an extra shower, went out to a restaurant somewhere or ate early, to come see us. So we owe them at least our very best, and not sit there and blame them. You want to blame somebody, blame the people that didn't show up. Be pissed at them,
exactly.
Right. And even then, it's still an opportunity to get your material out there and practice and do something experimental. You can find out what actually really is your strong material in front of those crowds of only 3 or 4 people. I've done those too, when bad weather hits, or when it's just been shittily promoted, or when you're just coming up the ranks and it's, any opportunity to get on stage, you're going to take it.
Yeah.
Well, that was
it's all a learning experience. It happened just a few weeks ago in Youngstown, Ohio. I got on stage. There were literally only 2 paid admissions to the show. Disaster strikes. Everybody went to the high school football game instead of coming to the comedy night.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had that problem. Yeah. It's these small towns, and there's a Friday night football. Forget it.
Forget it, man. You're competing against the Friday night football or the wedding, the big wedding.
Yeah. At a fundraiser or anything. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the whole town goes to them.
But really, I probably would have sided with the other comics at Bill's place and said, "Screw it, let's go home." But
Yeah.
Told you early, the ribs. I was there for the ribs, man. That's all.
Guys, all right, man. We've got Bill Brady. We've got Harry Hickstein on the phone right now. Let's see if I have any comments or questions. I've been so wrapped up in the conversation. I like talking about comedy. I like going deep into the history of it and some of the fundamentals and some of the insiders information that most people don't necessarily get to hear.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they tune into the comedy podcast and they just hear, basically your material disguised as an interview. But I actually like to get your philosophies on how to perform and where you've been and what you're all about.
Well, if I can interject something there, jer-dog, if you recall, Bill had a rule, and a number one rule at his place, no F-bombs. And, I'm not saying I never slipped, but it did train you to work clean or or be able to work any kind of situation because, come on, I know the place you worked, and I've worked stuff. I've worked prisons, I've worked white biker bars, I've done black biker bars, I've done hillbilly joints, and I've done clergy shows. You can't do the same show for each crowd, and you got to be able to gear it down, or you got to be able to work clean. So so I have to give Bill his props for that.
Well, that was thank you, Harry. That was something that was important to us, and it wasn't so much that we were, Tom Sinise and I were prudes. As much as it wanted learning. You want to have a family show there. We used to advertise 18 to 80-year-olds can come to the show. And, you don't have to sit there with a new girlfriend or your wife or your mom or your mother-in-law or whatever sitting there. And here, F this. I walk in the effing bar, sit down at the effing bar stool, the effing waitress walked up to me. I ordered an effing drink. What have you said that was so funny? So these guys would abuse it, And at the time, it was like you can't do TV, you can't do radio. You can't do the church shows that Harry's talking about. You can't do cruise ships. And then cable came out and blew that whole theory away.
Right. And now YouTube and Facebook Live and everything, and Sirius satellite radio and all these other forms of uncensored platforms. But I agree with you, and I even find myself falling into that bad habit, especially when I'm working on a new bit. A lot of times I'll drop in the F word just as a way to bridge a thought by myself another split second while I'm trying to fill in the gaps in my brain to come up with what the funniest thing might be to say. But I know what I'm doing in the sense that I'm doing that because it's not a completed, polished bit yet. Once it's a completed, polished bit, the F word may be in there, but it'll be in there as a deliberate choice because of the value that it creates, not because it's just something to say.
Yeah, I agree.
A strategic
absolutely.
use.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what you got to worry about nowadays, with booking rooms? I have to tell these guys, because, well, let me preface this with, I did a Brian Hicks, Brian Hicks, phenomenal act.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Brian was good when he started doing open mics. How about it, Bill?
Yes.
And Brian does a breast cancer benefit every year. And I think you were on this show, weren't you, Bill?
Oh, yeah.
The one I was talking about. And he does this, I guess, God bless his mom. That's what took her life. And I don't think she ever saw his act before he got into comedy there, right? Yeah. And so Brian's been doing this every year, which I think is great, and every October. And one year he asked me to be on the show. I said, yeah, I'd love to. I think it was the guy before me or two before me. Now, this is a breast cancer benefit, right? Guy goes up and does a rape joke. Okay, number one, there's nothing funny about rape. There's nothing funny about messing with kids and anything like that. Unbelievable. And even to do it there. And now he try to book some of these young guys, or just they come in and do an audition. I tell them right now, no rape jokes.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, and I told this one guy he wanted to work the Super Bowl. As you do a joke like that there, the two brothers that own that joint, they will remove your ass physically. You know what I'm talking about, Jer.
Yeah, I do know exactly what you're talking
guys,
about.
They ain't gonna put up with that. There's nothing funny about that.
No, and I do feel like a lot of guys do that. They come out there just to be some crazy polarizing guy just for the shock value of it, like some crazy shock jock type, And I like to go no holds barred. I like to go uncensored, but that's really just for free reign of subject matter because I'm just trying to speak openly and honestly from the heart.
And nobody does it better than you.
But yeah, man, I also know the difference. Now, here's another thing that I found though recently is people become more offended actually by subject matter, and especially when it's something political versus even language these days. People can tolerate F-bombs, but as soon as you get into political shit, that's when I see the crowd start to go sort of sideways.
You know what happened to me 2 years ago? I was working what's that place in Hickory Hill? The Sabre Room, Bill.
Sabre Room.
Yeah. And it was a New Year's Eve show. I only had to do 12 minutes. Okay, that's great. They had a magician on the show. They had the dancers. They had a bunch of act singers and everything like that. Frank Sinatra, back in the day, played this stage. So it was an honor to be on that stage. Bill's worked it many times, And that was after, remember, it was November, Steve Harvey did the Miss Universe contest. And remember, he mispronounced the winner. You recall that?
Yes, he got the wrong winner.
Yeah, he announced the wrong winner. Well, anyway, the host of the show gave my intro, and my intro I don't want to give it out now, but it's a play on it. They introduced me as certain one person, but I'm not, and I say what I actually am, and so I just says, who the hell's back there reading my intro? Steve Harvey. There, you know what the crowd did?
What?
Ooh, really?
Really?
I was out of line.
Why?
And I'm glad I only had to do
I don't
12
even.
minutes.
I can't even bridge the gap of why that might be offensive.
What's that?
Why would I can't even figure out why they might.
I think I know. Everyone, because, well, I hate to say it because I think it was a black-white thing. They think, I'm picking on a black guy, People are so...
That's the only thing I would think of.
Yeah. Because, it's... I don't know what else. I mean, I said nothing offensive of anything, and it's just like, I'm not going to... And it's just like, I'm sorry, we're all in this together, and people are getting way too politically correct and too sensitive about stuff.
Too sensitive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I found is that a lot of times the groups who are offended usually don't even belong to the groups that you might have made the joke about.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
So I get that a lot of times where people will look around and they'll go, oh, you should keep it clean. You shouldn't do your pot stuff. You shouldn't do your marijuana bit in this front of this crowd. There's a bunch of seniors here. I'm like, what the hell do you think they were doing in the 60s and 70s?
How about it, man?
Today,
Absolutely.
today's senior citizens were yesterday's hippies. And who are you, a fucking ageist? You're going to decide just based on looking at somebody at a table across from you and what you think their age may or may not be and what the type of material they may or may not laugh at is. I can't read anybody's mind, but what I can do is, and this is what I do, is I throw out a lot of different stuff at the beginning that kind of goes with this topic or that topic and pushes the envelope just a little bit. And then I see exactly how far that crowd will go within the first few minutes that I'm on stage. And then I direct the rest of the show from there.
Right.
You know, and I don't,
Right.
so I base it off of the reaction. I don't base it off of looking out there and going, oh, these people are fit into this group or
Right.
this people fit into that group. And so therefore I better say this or that or not say this or that.
Yeah. Well, I think that basically with me there, what it was, I think it was just white people thinking I was being insensitive toward somebody black. I think it's a racial thing. It's actually listening to the damn joke, what it was, or knowing what the.
Yeah, I agree. So they don't even hear the premise. They don't even understand what the whole point of it was.
And it's just like, oh, you're making it. It's just, no, you know, but whatever. I mean, it's just
you were just
like
making fun of a guy who made a mistake. That was all.
Yeah,
right. Which
and of course, you know, right away. Oh, I can't believe you said that. What said what?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Melissa says people today forget what comedy is. We need to laugh at ourselves more often.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Well, you know, I found that to be a lot, Jared. You know my act and a lot of what I do. Well, you know how big I used to be, and I've lost a lot of weight and everything since. And I used to do a lot of big jokes, and I still do, talk about how big I used to be and all that. And I used to find a lot of people very hypocritical because I would go out there, I'd rip on myself, people be laughing, and then all of a sudden, if I hit something maybe a little too close to home for them, all of a sudden, oh, I can't believe you said that. Why would you say that? But you got to laugh at yourself. Don't you own a mirror? Look in a damn mirror.
Right.
Yeah. So like, let's all relax. This is comedy. Let's just forget our troubles. Let's let our inhibitions down a little and relax, and let's have fun. Because I'm just going to go out there, and that's what I get paid to do. Go out and have fun.
Hell yeah.
You mentioned how you go out there and you throw things out in the very beginning and you make adjustments, what you can do, what you can't do, or who you can go on, and so forth.
Yeah.
That's basically, when I was hosting at the Barrel Laughs, that's what I did. I set things up where the comics knew, okay, these three girls are over there having a bachelorette party. This man and wife are celebrating it. So they knew what was in the audience and get a feel on who you can play with, who you can mess with, and so on and so forth. And the guys loved it, that they knew they didn't have to do as much work because they already knew where the hot pockets were.
Yeah, and that's what a good host does. You create those little nuggets of information, and then the other performers can bring them back in as they're relevant during their set.
Right. Yeah, it actually helps. It makes us all look actually good.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, so it's going to be both of you guys. It's going to be both you guys at Boxcars in Clinton.
I'm sorry?
Is it going to be both Bill and Harry at Boxcars in Clinton?
Absolutely right.
Awesome, man. Okay, guys, you're in for a hell of a treat. Clinton, Wisconsin, you're not going to know what hit you. Bill Brady, the legendary Bill Brady from Chicago, joining Mr. Big Stuff himself, Harry Hickstein. This was a lot of fun. We should do this again, even if this wasn't even really promotion because the show's already sold out anyway. But I just like talking comedy philosophy on these Facebook Live videos, and it's a lot of fun, especially to hear about how things were in historic venues like Barrel of Laughs.
Speaking about jer-dog, if I may, talk about historic. Vince Pacelli, one of our fellow comics, and I, about 4 years ago, wrote a book about the history of comedy in Chicago in the 90s. And it's at Barnes & Noble. It's Arcadia Publishing. And it talks about all the comedy clubs are in chronological order. So the Comedy Cottage is Chapter 1. The Comedy Womb is Chapter 2. The Barrel Laughs is Chapter 3, and so on and so forth, all the way down. And it talks about the amount of talent that came through Chicago that are now on TV, radio, movies, sitcoms, whatever,
right,
that use the Chicago comedy clubs, and proud to say the Barrel, as a stepping stone to get where they are, okay? In the very beginning, Arsenio Hall worked for me at the Barrel. Drew Carey worked for me at the Barrel.
Yep.
Tom Dreesen, who was already made it big, but he was at the Barrel. And somebody, Jeff Garland, was at the Barrel. So it was wherever Emo Phillips, Tenuta.
Mr. Big Stuff, Harry Hickstein.
Who?
Yeah.
He was in Eaton. But and yourself, jer-dog. You know,
Yeah.
so the history of comedy is in that book, and the different performers. I'm talking about Bob Hope credits Chicago with his success of his show when he came in from Cleveland to work at the Stratford Theater at 63rd and Halstead. It was an interview with Dick Cavett and said he credits Chicago.
Wow.
So many great comics from Chicago that came out of Chicago, I should say, long before Sex City was around. You know, and that's what this book was all about.
Well, jer-dog, you
And
got to
how-
know. I mean, Bill's both
how
his
do we
book
get-
there. I was in a comic book, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, I think that is awesome. I think we all need our own comic books.
Yeah.
You know, fuck bios and headshots are a thing of the past. We gotta get our shit together. We gotta have our own comic books.
Yeah, yeah.
How can I get a copy of that, dude? Is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. It is. You get it from Arcadia Publishing or Amazon. You know.
Or Bill will just send you a copy.
Yeah, well, I want to put a link to it on my Facebook. I want to give the people who are watching this the link so they can check that out.
Yeah, Arcadia Publishing or Amazon.
All right, very cool.
And what's the name of it again, Bill?
Stand-up comedy in Chicago.
Stand-up comedy in Chicago. That's easy enough.
Publisher is
to remember.
Arcadia Publishing.
How many comics you got in there, Bill? Do you recall? Just how many of us pictures and bios you got in there?
I don't know. It's 127 pages of pictures and information on all of them.
I like how it's pictures. Mostly
Yeah,
pictures.
a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
What page you on, Bill?
Right up our
At the
speed.
barrel. Many of which were taken at the barrel.
That's awesome. All right. Stand-up comedy in Chicago. I'm trying to put it in, but I'll have to do this after the video. All right. After the video wraps up, I will put the link in the comments below. I think we've covered it all right now, guys. We've got trick or treat. I've actually got to go. My wife's putting together a full-on Han Solo costume for me.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to being Han Solo, but I'm not looking forward to shaving. I'm a little bit annoyed by that.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I'm looking forward to working this for you, man. I mean, all your rooms rock, man. I mean, it's just you go in there, it's just real. You know, it's just you don't have any of these like, you know, you go to the north side of Chicago or downtown kind of people, these big urban cities, they get a little, a little stiff. But I mean, your rooms always rock, Jer. I'm going to tell you that, man. I'm looking forward to working boxcars.
Well,
grub.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're looking
with the
forward.
grub. They got ribs.
They definitely have ribs. They got a lot of good food there,
Bill,
dude.
order ribs.
Tell them no. Tell them Harry no.
They will treat you right. Tim and Randy, they've been putting on the show there for years. The Grassroots Comedy Tour flagship venue. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong after you've been there.
Jer-dog.
What's that, buddy?
You got it down with a room. Don't need a room. Don't need a hotel. Tell them to save their money.
Okay, very cool. And let me know when after you do it, let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it is probably the best midweek one-nighter going on right now.
Is that right?
Great. Well, looking forward to be part of it.
All right, cool, guys. I'm going to
All
let
right,
you
man,
go.
We're gonna have fun, man.
Happy
Looking
Halloween
forward
to
to
you.
it.
Bill Brady and Harry Hickstein, comedy legends from Chicago, on the phone with me right now. Guys, I'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday, Hump Day Happy Hour, 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time, or as close as possible. Until then, dog bless America.
Later, brother. Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you, guys. That was fun.
Oh, that was a lot of fun,
Yeah,
man.
enjoyed it.
I like doing stuff. Let's do another one sometime, even if we don't have anything to promote.
Oh, absolutely.